What's going on, guys? Welcome back. It's Tuesday, not Thursday. Why the balance patch video? Well, we got leaks, guys, and an exclusive video right here. This is a live look at the security team that keeps protected all the balance patch notes for second dinner. And while these are not confirmed, the last time this happened, they all came true the following Thursday. And we've got ourselves a new huge balance patch. Typically don't cover leaks. I usually wait for them to come out. But this one was just too spicy, too juicy. And finally, oh my god, I can't even believe I'm saying this, Captain America has got himself a buff, and we're obviously going to start there. Now, Captain America is going from the old 3-3 you knew and hated with the ongoing ability of your other cards here have +1 power. Now he's a 3-2 with the ongoing ability. Wait for it. Your other ongoing cards here have +2 power. You see, I've been playing this game for 700 days since the beta. 700 days have I long awaited the leader of the Avengers to not be complete garbage within the game. A starter card that's iconic. We've all been wanting to play with a Captain America. That's pretty good. And I think this is a nice step in the right direction. Now, he's a little pigeonholed into ongoing decks. Obviously, it has to be ongoing cards. There's plenty of those out there, and you're going to make them work in more deck builds than not. This isn't the change I think we all wanted to see with him, but it's definitely refreshing to see a Captain America that's a bit more worth playing. A 3-8 in stat value is obviously pretty damn good. Punisher got reworked to about a 3-7. He was being played quite often. And we all know that Spectrum deck is great. It's been working good in the meta, and this is going to be an obviously cog in that piece. But we can also put him in other decks where we see big benefit from ongoing cards. I'm excited to see what we can do with the new Captain America. And again, yes, I want him to throw a shield and do something interesting. Give the new players a different starter card that's iconic. Gave him Quicksilver. He's plenty of iconic, right? But this Captain America is going to be fun to mess with, and we're definitely going to get some nice deck design in coming videos. Now, because of this, we're going to be heading into our next change, which is a nerf, and that'll be to Spectrum. They'll be taking her from a 6-7 down to a 6-6. Yeah, this is pretty expected, right? I mean, Captain America gets a pretty decent sized buff for the deck archetype. He's still, okay when it comes to just being plug and playable, but in the Spectrum build, a build that was already doing really solid in Marvel Snap. If you haven't played it, put your ongoing cards together, have a good time. It's a great deck that can beat a wide variety of different meta decks out there. They had to adjust the Spectrum, obviously, taking her down 1 power point so that things didn't get out of control. But if you ask me, Captain America, meta for a week, I think we all would have been okay with a little Avengers Assemble over and over. I mean, Leech had like a 2-week reign. But either way, this makes sense to me. Now, because of that Leech comment, let's go and get to it, guys. You guys been waiting. The absolute horror decision of Leech being a 4-2 is now being reverted almost immediately, and this feels good, man. I gotta say, I'm glad they got on this right away. They're changing them back up to a 5 cost. Hallelujah. And they're making them a 5-5. Now, I haven't exactly been tamed in my feelings of how I felt about Leech going down to a 4 cost with Blink coming out as a 5 cost and making probably one of the most toxic combos in Marvel Snap. But he is inherently still getting a buff from the old Leech. He's going up in 3 power points. Now, somehow we still have Hela reigning fine. I'm going to spoil it. She's not going to have a nerf this patch, and Leech didn't do too much to affect her as it was. And Hela's now going to be back to dominant play most likely. Leech is probably going to go back to being kind of a niche option if you want to do some disruption. I did still play him at a 5 stat line when Blink came out to get a guaranteed 6. So if you like Leech, you could do that. But I'm sure if you like Leech, you got your jollies out over the last week or so. So this is definitely going to make, on reveal decks kind of back at it a lot more, which is nice because Namora comes out today. And I even had the intro already prepped about Leech. So at least Namora's going to get much more of a fighting shot come after this. If this all stays and remains the same as the leaks, we're going to expect these changes to hit Thursday, like I said before. So Leech officially dead again, or at least, tamed again in Marvel Snap. All right, let's go and move things right along to the other spicy changes of the patch. And it all begins with Werewolf by Night. One of the most fun cards to play in the entire game, but has been covered in dust way behind all your other cards because he was, well, a 4-cost, 4-power card. After you played a card, he would jump to that location, gaining +2 power if the card that was played was an on reveal. But obviously, at a 4-cost, it was a little too late to get really burst out of the card. They're changing him back to his original state at a 3-1. This, to me, might be equally, if not more exciting than the Captain America change, because Werewolf by Night, to me, is one of the most fun cards to play in the game. Since his release, we've gotten a lot of honor reveals to help the archetype. Bounce, I think, is going to go nuclear after this change once again. And Sage, before it's too late, actually, I think it's too late now. Sage could end up being really strong with this as well. Werewolf by Night was a really good card, and then he got tamed and nerfed pretty heavily. This is going to return him right back to the fold, kind of like the Captain Marvel change or the Angela, where they tamed them and then brought them back because the game has adjusted to so. Same thing here for Werewolf by Night. Absolutely awesome decision here by Second Dinner. Pumped to see this card come back, and there's going to be a lot of fun play with him. He's great. If you don't know him, he's great to avoid Shang-Chi, do some cheeky plays, and have your opponent guessing on their feet. This is definitely going to be one of the winners of the patch and one of the best archetype risers after all this comes out, assumingly on Thursday, if this all stays the same. Let's go to the next buff. And that buff's going to be to, well, GrandMaster, guys. He was a 2-0 on reveal. Move one of your other on reveal cards at the location that you played him to the middle, and you reactivate it. Everything's going to stay the same, but he's going to a 2-2. Now, look, guys, it's no secret. Probably my biggest whiff in Marvel Snap history had to be GrandMaster. GrandMaster, even to the devs in their statement, he had so many applications and so much potential. They wanted to be cautious with his release, and they didn't know if he was going to be amazing or if he was going to be bad, and turns out it was kind of the latter. He just was a little clunky, and oftentimes we call it, you know, the last card in the deck, the 13th card in the deck. He was replaceable, and oftentimes you were just better playing something else, even with the strong ability. Now, he's going to be notably losing his harmony, his synergy with Ravonna Renslayer, but he's getting 2 power points, which, again, just mentioned bounce. It's going to be awesome to have him in those builds, and he should be working better in a lot of these decks, even with just these 2 power points. I think this is going to be pretty interesting to see if it's still worth playing him in these decks and getting that reactivation. Again, things like Sage was a monster vertical leap in power played with GrandMaster. There's a lot of cards to abuse out there. And we have Werewolf by Night. So we're going to have to see, is this going to bring him to the potential that I once saw him at? I love the card. I still play him a lot. But this is definitely going to be nice and kind of weird to play him outside Ravonna. But now you're not kind of subjected to just that build. Now, another card that nobody plays that is getting a buff is Baron Mordo. And I'm going to definitely read the old ability. I don't think anyone knew what the heck he did. He was a 2-3 with the on reveal. Your opponent draws a card. Set its cost to 6. But now he's going to still be a 2-3 on reveal. The top card of your opponent's deck costs 6 until turn 6. What? And that's probably because you're just not used to this card. This card sucked so bad because, well, you were giving your opponent a card. Even in decks like Ronin, where you want to give cards, he just was not a good option there. And now he's not going to give your opponent a free draw where they could get, let's say, Dr. Doom, and the 6th, setting cost effect did nothing. Now, he's simply going to set the top card to 6 costs. Now, this is going to be nice because the next draw they have, it's guaranteed to be that card. And then if it's, a Brood, they can't play that on turn 6. They could, but they can't play it the following turn. So he kind of curves out nicely to target some 3-cost cards if that's the next draw. Still has some downside. We're going to have to see if this ability is enough to make him playable in certain decks. I still think he's going to be niche. But hey, we're going to try him out. We're going to see if he's going to be okay on Thursday, if everything stays the same, or if this leak is real, which I assume it probably is. So Baron is getting some love. We're just targeting all the bad cards this patch. Love to see it. Now, a couple quick fire changes here. We've got Luke Cage going from a 3-4 down to a 3-3. This is obviously because, well, he's Luke Cage. Highly slept on. His ability of having no negative power points pushes him way past just a 3-4 value. He's now 3-3, going to work in Cerebro decks once again, and I expect him to be in the Spectrum builds, or at least remaining in those with Captain America. And then in other news, we have Leader that's going to go up a power point to a 6-3, and I think this is a pretty nice change. I don't think he's going to be in every single deck. I still think he's going to be amongst the lowest played 6-cost cards in the game, but it's nice to be able to play a Leader, copy Red Hulk. The risk of not knowing what your opponent's going to play and copying a Spectrum or Hela, it does nothing for you, and that's why a lot of people choose not to play him, but the upside is really nice. And now he's a 3-power card, so we're going to have to see if he does, get a little bit more play, and if the devs put him in the role where they initially wanted to have him. We know the old days of Leader was well, terrible, just awful balance. But this should make him a bit more competitive. Time will tell. Now, guys, we're going to end with our final change, and that's to a pretty significant card in Sentry. Now, Sentry was a 4-10 that would push out a -10 Void on the right lane, or they're changing both of these cards. So net power loss is 4, which is pretty substantial. Sentry is going to go from that 4-10 to a 4-8, and the Void is going to go from a 4-10 to a 4-8. This is one of those other changes, guys, that I'm completely okay with. I like that they're not going to be touching Annihilus himself, and I think that the Sentry was always, for the most part, played as an 18-point or 20-point power swing, right? Like, having -10 pushed to the other side and having 10 power is a huge play for basically nothing with Annihilus, and this is going to take him down just a little bit. In turn, also -8. It's not as bad or consequential, I guess, on the right-hand lane. Still washes out the power even, but Sentry, he definitely, it feels like the card to adjust in that kit. You don't want to mess with Hood, and this still has the card have its purpose. Be a great card. You're sending a Hobgoblin to the other side while maintaining 8 power, but in turn, it's not as big as it once was. So Annihilus doesn't get directly affected, but the Junk archetype should see a small kickback because of Sentry and his overall change. Most notably, too, your Sentry can't be Shang-Chi, so it's also a buff in that department, whatever way you look at it. So it's a nerf in that way. Actually, this might be an overall buff because of the Shang-Chi thing. I don't know. He was like one of the only cards in that build that was subjective to some Shang-Chi, and you're sitting that -8 over anyway. So actually, I think this is a cool change. We're going to have to see how it works in the overall package. This is definitely a nerf overall, but against Shang-Chi, might be a nice little way to protect yourself from getting punted in the face. And that's going to be it, guys. That is the leaked balance patch. Again, you can expect something similar to this. May not be the exact thing. I think it might be. You can expect something similar to come out this Thursday in the OTA. Definitely a lot to shake up the meta. Werewolf by Night, Captain America all going up, GrandMaster. It's going to be a lot of fun decks out there, and sure to shake up the archetypes as we know it at the moment. Again, I don't do a lot of leak videos. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. I will have my Namora video coming out either later tonight or the next day. And hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, subscribe down below. It means a ton as we're growing up to 150,000 subscribers. And until the next one, happy snapping.